now typically CAs are not known for all these cultural activities. Is it a conscious choice या फिर it just happened naturally with you?
A chartered accountancy degree does not mean that you would only do accounts or finance. I think the other definition or a full form for a CA could be can do anything.
आप experiment कर लो. That's a backup plan.
आपके CA डिग्री के हिसाब से आपको जॉब जरूर मिल जाएगी.
We were conscious in terms of that. That friend के साथ idea bounce off कर दिया and we both were smart people. I take credit for that today for both of us.
A lot of students come like this. अच्छा सर 2 महीने में ट्राई करके दे देते ना.
क्या जाएगा?
But what happens is because then you get stuck in that cycle.
But again, coming to the old point, कि आजकल this is real numbers which ICAI has issued recently that पहले 60% of fresh chartered accountants was getting to practice.
Yes.
Because there was a scope for it.
Correct.
Today, it's 60% are going to industry.
Correct.
So, and that is a declining trend.
True.
So we'll see in the next 5 to 10 years that number will keep going in terms of industry.
Correct.
Industry again will come with specialization in the long run. Is it because of specialization or is it because CAs are becoming risk averse with the increasing regulation oversight of the government?
So I would say, in fact, as you said 60%, I would say more than that are going today in job and not in practice. So again, it's more from a mindset generation today. So we are all aware of how much patience do you need when you're starting your own practice, right? Yeah. It's not going to be quick money at that point. It's as good as starting your own business.
Correct.
So are you ready yourself? That you will be there for the next 1 or 2 years, maybe almost no income or less income as compared to your friend who's going to earn maybe 60,000-70,000 a month or more than that. So that mindset has to be there. I've got still a lot of such examples who started right after becoming CA practice and were able to do a break even with us compared to their friends in just 1.5 years. So it all depends on you. Are you ready to? So in CA degree, what happens is typically when a student has taken 5, 6, 7 years, and then he's like, अच्छा और मैं 2 साल कहाँ इसमें डाल दूँ कि मैं setup करूँ. He's like, let me take up a job and then see. But I think I have always advised to anybody who becomes a CA, if they want to explore something, do right at that outset. Because if nothing works out, you still have your degree.
Have the degree.
You have the degree and you can still do up anything, right?
I think that's a very good point. The fact that your degree becomes a very easy document for you to keep.
Yes.
Ab experiment kar lo. That's a backup plan.
Correct.
If something goes wrong, you always have the degree to fall back on.
Absolutely.
Alright.
And what would happen? Let's say an example, 2 साल आपने कुछ कोशिश करी वो नहीं चला. आपके CA डिग्री के हिसाब से आपको जॉब जरूर मिल जाएगी. Possibly your friend was earning maybe 2x time and you're not earning that. It's all right. In the long run, if you're better at, you'll make that anyways edge ahead, right?
I think that's the compounding effect eventually आ जाती है. हम बहुत बार ये भी बोलते हैं कि बच्चे attempt prepone करने की कोशिश करते हैं.
Yes.
I remember when I was giving my final exam and उसी साल regulation आया था that you can appear for the exam in the last 6 months.
Okay.
तब तक regulation था कि आप Articleship खत्म कर लो, उसके बाद आप exam दे सकते हो.
Correct.
And that is exactly when the regulation came 6 months back. So I spoke to my friend and I'm like, यार 6 महीने में क्या ही फर्क पड़ जाएगा. देख पढ़ाई आधी छूट जाएगी, आर्टिकलशिप आधी छूट जाएगी, ना वो ठीक से कर पाएगा ना पढ़ाई कंप्लीट होगी और हाफ हार्टेड अटेम्प्ट दे देगी.
करेक्ट.
और फिर गलती से फेल हो गए तो अटेम्प्ट तो वापस देना ही है. एंड देन इट पुट्स अ साइकिल टू अ टॉस. सो फॉर्चुनेटली we were conscious in terms of that, that friend के साथ idea bounce off कर दिया and we both were smart people. I take credit for that today for both of us, that we decided to defer the attempt and keep the normal attempt and not prepone it in the rat race of being a chartered accountant, because आज 12 साल बाद कोई नहीं पूछता है कौन सा attempt दिया था तुमने, तुम CA बन गए थे 12 साल पहले. वो important.
I think just to bring to this fact, so I cleared in November 2010 and as you rightly mentioned, we had this we had to finish 3.5 years of articleship. Yes. Only then we become eligible to give the attempt. I had a friend whose boss did not give her leave and it was November 10 attempt and boss हमारी articleship सितंबर में ख़त्म हो रही थी, तो 1 महीना कुछ था तो उसको अगस्त में ख़त्म होके जाना है, तो उसे 2 ही महीना मिलने वाला था. So she had one option. 2 महीने में 8 subjects नहीं पढ़ के दे सकते थे and इंटर तक सब क्लियर थे फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट. I got like 4 months of leave and I was like I'll give November 10. Sir boss said either तुम पोस्टपोन कर लो या एक ग्रुप करके दे दो. She's like देना तो अपने को दोनों ग्रुप है because फर्स्ट टर्म में क्लियर करना है. She took a conscious call. I gave in November 10. Of course I cleared first time तभी हो गया. She finished her articleship in August. She took like 1 month break. Gave in May 11. Cleared all the 8 papers in first attempt in May 11.
Perfect.
And I think as you rightly said, that conscious call. She could have just given, a lot of students come like this. अच्छा सर 2 महीने में try करके दे देते ना.
क्या जाएगा?
But what happens is because then you get stuck in that cycle.
And it's a mindset problem also.
Yes.
कि यार मतलब मैं इतनी लाइफ में कभी फेल नहीं हुआ, अभी फेल हो गया. एंड द प्रॉब्लम विद द सीए कोर्स ऑल्सो इज दैट लोग बोलते हैं बहुत टफ कोर्स है. अब जब 10th या 12th की एग्जाम देते हैं, हम ये नहीं पूछते पास होगा कि नहीं होगा, कितने मार्क्स आएंगे.
Exactly.
हम सीए में ये क्यों पूछते हैं कि तू पास हुआ कि नहीं हुआ.
True.
आई थिंक दैट कॉन्वर्सेशन नीड्स टू स्टार्ट चेंजिंग एंड दैट विल स्टार्ट ट्रिगरिंग लॉन्गर इफेक्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ वेयर वी आर.
Very true.
So apart from CA, you run a foundation and you do a lot of curricular activities also. Tell us something more about that.
So we've something known as MADO Foundation. So MADO typically in Gujarati means to meet, bring people together. So we started doing activities related to in terms of MADO. So we organize social gatherings, social festivals in terms of maybe Navratri or Holi, that people could come together and we could make awareness about and maybe raise funds typically for underprivileged in terms of education. So MADO Foundation is a trust which looks at education for the underprivileged. And the other thing is we try to bring people together for a social bonding that could happen. And this typically started way back, I think it was like maybe almost 8-9 years back, where somebody came and told me that we would want to attend events with our friends, but they are too, costly, that and they were not able to go. I felt bad being a teacher. I'm like, okay, let me try planning up something which is going to be almost similar but at low cost as possible. So we try our connects and everything and put it at less cost as possible.
So how many students have we impacted so far in the last 8 years?
I think I don't have a count, but I'm sure easily a lakh and above. I would say lakh and above is face to face.
Okay.
Leaving aside the online
the content creation that happens.
I don't want to touch upon those impressions, because those impressions goes in any number.
The like, subscribe and share game is not part of it. Alright, so I know you're part of all these activities, anchor, choreography, and we met for the first time in 2018 when both of us were running for the WIRC, the Western Indian Regional Council of ICAI elections.
Correct.
And we both lost the elections.
Correct.
But what was your prompt to run that elections?
My prompt to run that election, I think, was very similar that while in a teaching class, somebody said, sir, why don't you contest election? And I was like, okay, ye bhi karke dekh lete. And I think typically I've always seen generally in elections, typically people who came in the council were always from the practice background. And I was the one who was coming from a teaching background. And I was like, any council or any board across any university or anywhere should be a mix of different kinds of people so that you have multi opinions. I think that is what prompted me. And I'm glad that I recontested afterwards in 2021 as well and being a part of the council.
And you won 2021 elections.
Yes.
So what changed from 18 to 21? And 3 years back, you wanted to come back also. Not a lot of people recontest election after they lost elections for multiple reasons.
Correct.
What was your reason for coming back in 21? And what changed in those 3 years?
Nothing. I think for more that what I realized afterwards as well, that can I still be somebody who would want to help the students and these young chartered accountants? Because nobody came from my fraternity or my background in the council. If somebody who would have been there, I would have still maybe given a thought that let me not, just be another person. I would always prefer to be somebody if I'm able to help, are you able to put that additional help to somebody? If not, you're just an additional piece, everything over there. So I think that is something which prompted me to recontest in 2021, that I could maybe help, if I'm able to help students from outside, possibly if you're in the system, you can help more because then you're part of the system. And then you cannot just sit and possibly tell that, okay, this is not happening, because you know what is happening over there as well.
So that's a good point, that we have a lot of keyboard warriors today.
Yes.
Who can go on social media and comment a lot, ye nahi ho raha, wo nahi ho raha. But you ask them to elect the right people, they don't do that. They don't contest elections. They don't raise questions in the right forum.
True.
But online jaake, they want to pass comments on a lot of things. And all right, let's admit that things are broken at a lot of places.
True.
But it's our job as members of the fraternity to come together and fix it as well.
Absolutely.
You can't just pinpoint that, okay, you're elected, it's your job alone.
So I think as elected members, we're just representatives of the entire lot, right? Correct. So when we look at WIRC at region, there are 21 regional council members at WIRC. So we're just representing, this 1,20,000 or chartered accountants of WIRC over there. So it's collective together that we need to take the image of the profession of ICAI ahead.
So how many votes did you get in 18 and how much did you get in 21?
2018, I think it was maybe some 600 plus first preference, and 2021 it was some 1600 first preference.
That's 1,000 more people you influence in 3 years. Maybe.
No, I think those 1,000 did not vote in 2018 because I did not much canvass or campaign in 2018. So a lot of my friends did not go and vote at that point in time, and I am like, okay, please make sure you come, because they realized, okay, when I lost, they're like, we didn't vote. I'm like, why? It's like, we thought abhi theek hai.
Jeet jayega.
Exactly. I'm like, no, you better vote. So I think, yeah.
So, तुम्हारे friend ने 2018 में vote नहीं करा, 2021 you asked them to go and vote. But the average voting percentage across the CA is any 50% के आसपास होता है. कुछ booth में 60-40 आता है. Bombay is very less.
Correct.
Why do people not vote, and what is your message for people to go and vote?
No, I think for any election or anywhere that you are, electing, and there's going to be an election for possibly in any body. I think because primarily most important that everybody needs to vote. It could be a general election, it could be an institute election or something else as well. Because voting is just not your right but your duty as well, right?
True.
So unless you actually vote, because then you are representing. Otherwise, it's always, why don't you stand? Somebody may just, would want to, I don't want to get into it, right? If everybody starts thinking, then who is going to contest and how things are going to work? I think our nation also is going to
over there.
So I think in any democracy system, for my message to everybody is always that you will at least find one candidate everywhere that would be comparatively better than others as you may feel, right? And in institute elections, there's always preferential voting as compared to the other general elections.
But ये बात आती है, बहुत बार बोलते हैं कि मेरे एक वोट से क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है, एक डिबेट ये आ जाती है. And second is also the fact that do you believe somewhere there has to be an additional incentive or a penalty for people who vote or who don't vote?
I don't know if there should be an additional incentive. I believe there should be definitely a penalty for people who do not vote, because the moment we just spoke that voting is along with your right, your duty as well.
Correct.
There can never be an incentive for following your duties, I believe. It's something जो मेरी duty करनी है otherwise in life. उसके लिए मुझे अगर इंसेंटिव मिलने लगा तो वो ड्यूटी नहीं कहलाएगी, ऐसे मुझे लगता है. So I come from a little spiritual background as well. So the moment things are duty, if you don't do that, you cannot incentivize, right? Because if you start incentivize your duties, it no longer remains your duties, right? Because then you're going to think कि मुझे इससे अगर कुछ मिलेगा तो मैं करूँगा.
Correct.
तो फिर वो मतलबी चीज़ें हो जाती है, is what I believe.
So, but isn't that fair for people that, what's in it for me?
Correct.
For a lot of people who are not in the practice also, उनको membership रख के incentive क्या फ़ायदा क्या है? I don't get any access to any resources, material.
Correct.
और emails आते रहते हैं.
Correct.
और आजकल तो ज़्यादा ही आते हैं emails.
Correct.
But what is the benefit for someone to remain a member on roster, pay the fees every year?
Correct.
So it's a very nominal fees, 15 रुपए कुछ नहीं होता.
True.
But मैं क्यों भरूँ वो?
So I believe there are a lot of benefits that a lot of people do not know. So somebody is known a member only when he's paid membership fees.
Correct.
Only when somebody is paid membership, he or she can put CA in front of his or her own name, right? Otherwise, ऐसे ही बहुत लोग लगा लेते हैं, वो गलत है, right? As per the act, there are a lot of benefits that a member can have. So if you look at on ICAI website, that a member can have actually a lot of benefits के लिए बहुत सारे website के ऊपर clauses दिए हुए हैं that member can do what all things. So वो सिर्फ एक member हो कर सकता है, जिसका membership नहीं है वो नहीं कर सकते हैं.
So don't you think कोई type का induction program भी होना चाहिए for fresher chartered accountants where you explain the benefits of being a member? हमें इतने emails messages आते हैं to attend events and exhibitions and all of that.
Correct.
But I haven't seen enough communication happening. For example, even health insurance, hospital checkups वगैरह, these are part of the packages that are beneficial for members also. I am a little proactive, तो मैं देख लेता हूँ.
बराबर है.
But not every member knows that.
True.
And those value adds are much more than the fees that we pay for it.
Absolutely.
So do you think somewhere the communication between the body and the members has become very robotic today?
Okay. I'll tell you, so this is, I would say 50% correct and 50% not. So there happens an induction for every fresher chartered accountant before his convocation. So convocation meaning आप membership आपको मिल रही है, मतलब आपने membership number ली हुई है. Then happens an induction program, right? Sometimes there's a 1 day, sometimes there's 2 day. This time it was a 2 day induction. Before every convocation, there'll always be guidance speeches which is going to be there. Communication, as you rightly said, in terms of the medical benefits and everything, there are mass emails from ICAI, from every regional offices that go. But as you rightly said, a lot of these emails go to the spam of the people. However, if I have to look at specifically Western region today, we made the entire, in the last 3 years, entire social media of the entire WRC active. Today, if I have to look at the Western India Regional Council page, which was not there earlier, so I remember when coming in 2021 and when we started the year, somebody said me that, Hrudyesh, you are active on social media, why don't you do this for the institute? I'm like, more than happy to do it. And we actually, the team sat, we explained to the staff what to be done. Today, we've got an active WRC Facebook page, an Instagram page, a LinkedIn page, and on Twitter as well, across, and a YouTube channel as well. Every event that happens at WRC gets posted on all of these things. Most of the events at WRC gets recorded, and their recording happens on a YouTube channel of WRC. Most of the presentations, the resources gets on the website of the WRC. Now, as I rightly said, for a student, when we spoke about the entire CA courses, you have to make an effort. It's even after becoming CA. If you want, you have to make an effort. So the communication is there. All of these I said, is there. The mass email is there. Still a member says, I didn't know. Now tell me, how do we reach? In fact, I'd be more than happy if we can figure out and find out some place that how do we reach. So what happens typically, somebody who is not practicing, let's say, when he gets into a job, let's say somebody is working in a Big Four. Now, his circle, is that entire in that particular Big Four. If he's working in a particular MNC, ex-MNC, he's in an MNC. So then he's least bothered what is happening outside typically. So that is always going to be there. Just, I think something.
No, I think I agree somewhere, जो practicing CAs होते हैं, वो study circles वगैरह में active होते हैं. And they get engaged with people, and वहीं पे ज़्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस मिल जाता है.
True.
तो वह बात हो जाती है. In industry and all, it's a little difficult to reach out to them.
उनका Monday to Friday working होता है, weekends वो काफ़ी बार work होता है, या they would want to enjoy with their friends, family, maybe that as well.
So you mentioned that you ran for elections because you wanted to make a difference by being on the body, because our dialogue, if you want to change the system, be in the system.
Correct.
So you are in the system as of today, and you see the body differently.
Correct.
Because आप अंदर से देख रहे हो कि अंदर क्या हो रहा है.
True.
Intent, effort, all that is being seen.
True.
Has your view of the ICAI Council changed in the last 3 years?
So I believe a lot still needs to be changed. Because it's a body, right? It's not one man's rule. If I have to make in a house my rule, I'm going to be making it.
Correct.
But it's the entire body. So everybody brings their own suggestions, and then the entire council decides across what is going to be benefited or what is going to be there. And specifically, it's always going to be part, that somebody may benefit or somebody is happy while the other is not. However, there are a lot of things still happen which a lot of outsiders do not know. There are a lot of efforts which have always been made, to do up things, to do up maybe activities, to do up, study reports or researches, which a lot of people, somebody who's a part of that knows. Others feel, acha, I do not know, like today, just today. So now, the curriculum has changed a year back. From 8 papers in CA final and 8 papers in CA inter, now there are 6 papers, right? Yeah. Somebody I just met who's become 20 years back chartered accountant today morning before coming in. She said, oh, exams would take 17-18 days. I said, no, they will get done in 12 to 13 days. They're like, 8 papers kaise mila? Now there are 6 papers. Like, oh, I don't know. So
I relate to that honestly, because last week I was doing a little preparation for one of the interviews that I was taking, and that's when I realized कि 8 से 6 हो गया. मैं तो सिर्फ 10 साल पहले हुआ था.
Exactly.
So I sympathize with the person who was 20 years back.
So because अभी मुझे ये पता है, because I come from that education background, right? So जो जिस background से है तो उसको उसका particular पता रहेगा. अगर कोई tax background में काम नहीं कर रहा है, so उसको tax में change हो रहा है, हमें उसको नहीं पता रहेगा. आप जब पढ़ रहे हो तब आपको सब पता है, क्योंकि आप सब कुछ पढ़ रहे हो. So that will always happen for every. It's not just हमारे को क्या है, अपने सर्कल में when we are doing CA and most of our circle is of CA people.
Correct.
तो फिर हमको सिर्फ उसके बारे में पता रहता है, या हमारे सोशल मीडिया पे भी वो वाले टाइप ऑफ पब्लिक रहेगा. So we get the news of that only. Across everywhere, I think it's always going to be this.
So again, coming back to the fact that you said, हर 3 साल में हम 21 members चुनते हैं, they get elected, they become part of the council, but every 3 years the council changes.
Correct.
And every year the executive committee changes of the council also.
Correct.
Do you think somewhere because of lack of continuity also a lot of decisions or implementation gets delayed? Why should someone become a regional council member? What is the duties of WIRC?
But you're just a representative of people, right? A chartered accountant to the institute.
Are you sure no members make any money by any mechanism by being a council member?
So if you meet somebody at the institute, so you're not making money, it's just, you're meeting somebody.